what was it like, Jerrod? Your first trip, you said, was with Byron Cage, and that was overseas, international.
It was.
So talk to us about your first overseas international experience.
So man, it was a culture shock at first.
Yeah.
Just because I had never been out of the country before.
Okay.
Seeing London and seeing these different countries in books and in school and stuff.
Yeah.
And to finally get the opportunity to go overseas and do something that I love to do.
Yeah.
And just do it in a different environment, man. It was amazing. Trying different food and seeing just different people. It was a great experience.
Yeah. I don't know if you've counted, but how many would you say several times? Do you actually count how many times when you do international trips these days? What are some of your favorite places outside the U.S. to travel?
Oh man, of course Dubai. I went to recently, last year.
Okay.
Dubai for the first time, man, and it was it was just mind blowing just to see all of the crazy buildings and streets and stuff like that, and just to see how clean it is over there. No homelessness, no littering or anything like that. It's it was crazy, man. But I would say Dubai, Jakarta is another favorite of mine. Brazil, I like Brazil. Where else?
Are these with artists as well? Like all these trips?
Well, some of those most of them were with artists, but a few of them were actually I did drum clinics for myself over there.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool.
Got a chance to go over there and play a drum clinic and teach master classes and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I would say those are probably my favorite places so far. Okay.
Yeah. And when you do those master classes or the clinics, are you initiating them, or someone reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, Jerrod, will you come and be a part?"
Well, the ones that I've done in the past, people actually reached out.
Okay.
And they may have seen some content online that I posted in the past on YouTube, Instagram, or something like that, and they reached out and just asked if I was interested in coming over and doing a master class or a drum clinic.
Okay.
Yep.
What's the mindset behind a clinic? Like, what process, if any, do you go through? At this point, you've done several, so it sounds like so. What do you try to accomplish, or is there any way to approach that?
It depends on it. I think it's situational. It depends on the type of audience for sure, and then also the type of location and whether it's a school or a venue where they have a clinic. Yeah. My approach is a little different, but I think overall though, I try to make sure that whoever attends the clinic that they leave with some knowledge and knowing something that they may not have known about drumming or about their career, how to market themselves, or how to practice, anything like that. So I try to keep it open and just make sure that I answer any questions or try to fix any confusion for any younger drummers or older drummers, pretty much any age. So that's always my approach.
Yeah. Talk to me about getting gigs is one thing, right? But keeping them is a whole nother skill set.
It is.
What have you found is the best approach to make sure, okay, this is not going to be a one-off for me.
Right.
I want this call to keep coming back. I want this thing to turn into, okay, it's a few spots, dates, but I want this to turn into a tour.
Right.
What have you found works for you for longevity in the business?
For longevity, we get a lot of opportunities, but I think for longevity is, of course, you want to make sure that you're the best on and off of your instrument, that you can be the best person that you can be.
Okay.
But also, for me, like whenever I get an opportunity, especially a new opportunity, I always try to make sure that I put the time in to learn the music in and out, and to make sure that I'm to the point to where I'm comfortable with it and that I'm able to sound authentic and serving the music when I do so. But I think as far as keeping the gig though, like I said, just making sure that you're the best on and off of the instrument that you can be. Character wise, being able to be a good person to be around, and being able to get along with your other bandmates, get along with the artist, and if the artist is asking for something from the drums or whatever instrument that you play, just make sure that you can deliver. Right. A lot of times when I practice or over the years when I've prepared, I used to always try to put myself mentally in the situation. I'm like, okay, if this were to happen, what would I do? So if the artist is, if they ask me to play I don't know, 30-second notes on a ride cymbal. Am I able to do it? So I used to just create different scenarios in my practice time and just make sure that, I'm prepared as much as possible.
Okay.
So that, if someone asks for something on the fly, then I'm able to deliver. So
Yeah.
those are some of the things that I would say, it will help you with your, longevity and staying consistent and keeping gigs in the industry.
Yeah. So Four Korners, we got to talk about the Four Korners.
For sure.
The name may sound obvious, but how did you guys arrive at the name? And tell us a little bit more about how the band came together.
Okay, so I know I've been with the band for maybe 10 plus years at this point, but I'm still considered the newest guy in the band.
Really? Okay.
So they were already established. By the time I joined, they were out touring and with different artists and stuff like that. But, and also still doing the Four Korners as a fusion band thing. But back in 2013, after I had just graduated Atlanta Institute of Music, I got a call to do a show of my own in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. It was like an open mic / jam session, and the host, he asked would I be interested in doing some of my original music. And at the time, I was still at a stage where I was kind of still experimenting with my lane and my what genre I wanted to go about.
Right.
So I was just experimenting with some just different instrumental music and putting ideas together. But if I had to categorize it or label it, I would say it was more on the jazz fusion side. Okay. So he asked what I wanted to play to tracks, and I was like, I don't really want to play the tracks, so let me see if I can, think of some guys in Atlanta that could, do this music justice or, be willing to do this gig with me.
Yeah. So
I had been watching the guys in Four Korners for, past few years. Okay. I used to be in the band with one of the guys' younger brother. We were in a gospel band together, so I already knew who they were through him. Okay. So I got their contact information from Chris was his name, the bass player that I used to play with. I got their contact information from him, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just reach out to him because I knew they played fusion. I was like, if I'm gonna get anybody, I'm gonna just ask them because I know they can play it. So I decided to reach out. I reached out to Clarence. And he was like, yeah, you rock my younger brother, I'm gonna do it. So I reached out and he said yes, he would do the gig. Then I reached out to Ike. Ike is the guitarist. I asked him the same thing. I was like, hey man, you want to do this gig with me? I got this jam session, this open mic. I was asked to play a few tunes of mine. Yeah. He was like, yeah, I'll do it. Right. So I got him, and then I got Chris, my homie that I used to play with back in the day, Chris. I got him on the bass. And we rehearsed, we did the gig, and they had never heard me before in person. They had seen videos online, my YouTube and social media and stuff like that. And I was at a point in my career after graduating from Atlanta to the music. I was like, okay, I have to, if I'm not going to get called for an opportunity, I have to create opportunities for myself. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm calling these guys, to see, because I know that they could play the music, but also I knew also that they had never heard me play live before. And I'm like, okay, I want to connect with people who are already in the industry, but also who had never heard me play in person before. Right. So I set that situation up. We did the gig. They loved what they heard. They were like, man, I seen your videos online, but I didn't know you can play like that in person. It was a different vibe. So we kept in contact, and I would say maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later, I was in Best Buy, and Clarence, he called me. I didn't hear my phone ring. He called me. He left a voicemail. He was like, hey, Rod, I was just giving you a call. I got a situation, and I just want to talk to you about it. Just run some things by you. Okay. So I was like, okay, cool. So in my mind, I'm like, he can't be calling me for a gig, because I'm thinking, like, these guys already working. He don't want to call me for a gig. Mm-hmm. So I called him back, and long story short, he was like, hey man, we ran into a situation, and we was wondering if you might be interested in being in the band. I was like, whoa, okay, cool. So I told him, yeah, and he was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna send you a few songs to learn. Mm-hmm. We got rehearsal on Monday, so he sent me 3 songs to learn, and keep in mind too, I hadn't played jazz fusion ever.
Okay.
You know, I used to try to play at covers, like some tribal tech stuff. I would listen to them and, you know, play over them. But as far as sounding authentic in the genre, I didn't have the knowledge at that time. So I was still learning, but what the thing is, he saw my potential. So he was like, hey man, just, you know, take these tracks, see what you can do with them, learn them to your best ability, and see you on Monday.
Right.
So I learned them. I got to rehearsal on Monday, and we were running the tunes. And he was like, you know, he was just pointing out little small stuff, and it was like, you know, some just stuff that I had never heard before.
Okay.
And had never paid attention to it. He was like, hey man, do this instead of that. You know, play this riff. Be sure to listen for this little small nuance stuff. And he was like, yeah, okay, you got it. So from that day forward, though, I was in the band.
Nice.
And that's kind of how it the Four Korners thing happened. But yeah, like I said, man, they were already established, and you know, they saw my potential, man. They took me in as a younger brother, as a young man, and you know, they helped me to evolve and grow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool story. So you're a drummer who has endorsements, right? So when you talk about the process of, okay, playing drums, I have none, to now you have several. Take us through that process. What was it like was it where you had to reach out to get an endorsement, or did you find that everybody came to you? How much of that was connected to your social media, et cetera? What was the process of getting endorsed like?
So initially, I'll talk about when I first found out about endorsements.
Okay.
When I first found out about endorsements, the first thing that was going through my mind, okay, I want free gear. I'm like, okay, I don't want to have to pay for gear. I'm seeing other drummers, like, you know, drummers who are already well known and you know, in the industry and doing things in the industry, and I'm like, man, I want to be endorsed because it looked good to me. Okay. And like I said, I thought about free gear. So I was I just, you know, was finding different emails, and, you know, trying to get in contact with these companies. And I was just sending emails, just reaching out to them. Hey, I'm looking to be endorsed, blah, blah, blah. Not really having anything to show for, or having a reason for me being endorsed by these companies. Okay.
So you reached out before you were Jerrod, as we know you now.
I did.
Just going and making it known, hey, I want to be affiliated.
Exactly. Okay. I want to be affiliated. And also too, because, you know, I was like, okay, if I get endorsed, then that's going to give me gigs because it looks good. You know, it's almost like I thought
before the horse almost.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, if I get this endorsement, that's just validation that, hey, I made it. But it's not the case.
Right.
So that was my initial approach. And, you know, once I realized that wasn't working, I'm like, okay, you know what? I had to be real with myself. I'm like, I haven't put in any work. This was before I was like, you know, going as hard as I am at music and in the industry and stuff like that.
Right.
Like building a social, staying consistent on social media and stuff like that. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on just building my socials and building my brand. And that's what I'm going to focus on. Once I made that decision and I stayed consistent on social media, I'm like, okay, I want to build my brand. Once I got to a certain point, what I noticed was these companies started reaching out to me. And although it was from, you know, by one of my friends or by another drummer who was already signed to these companies, they were like, hey man, you should check this drummer out. And they would forward my accounts and my socials or whatever to the rep at these companies. And they were like, hey man, who is this kid? What is he doing? So they saw the traffic, they saw the numbers on the social media, they saw that I was, you know, doing work, starting to get gigs, starting to, you know, do spot dates and tours and stuff like that. So they decided to reach out. They emailed me. Okay. And they were like, hey man, you know, what gear are you using? What sticks are you using? Hey, you should check this product out. So that's kind of how it went. And, you know, I asked them, I reached out, I was like, hey, so, you know, what made you interested to, you know, bring me on the roster as an artist? And they were like, I saw I saw your traffic. I saw your engagement on social media. I saw you were out there doing work. Okay. So at that moment, that kind of gave me clarity on like, what these companies look for. Yeah. They look for people who can bring awareness to their company and possibly bring more sales and have they want the partnership.
It's a business decision for them. It's not just you might want to be popular and get free gear, but are they going to make money?
Exactly. Right. At the end of the day, it has to be a good partnership for both sides.
Right.
And it can't just be one sided. And it's like that's what they look for though. It's like, who is this guy going to put our product in front of more people? Whether it's customers, whether it's just bringing awareness to the brand, is like, is this person going to do that for us? And
you're an influencer, so being a social media influencer helps to push that over the hump.
Absolutely,
because it's quantifiable. They can actually see real numbers.
Absolutely.
On your page, even if it's just following. I don't know if they get that deep into like your analytics and your insights, but whatever your following is, obviously, is a direct relation to the value, hopefully, that you're bringing. To the market at large, right?
Absolutely.
So you're saying that endorsement companies, those that offer those, they do actually use those metrics. That's a part of it.
They may not tell you, but it's definitely something that they look at.
Okay. So you would encourage someone who doesn't have endorsements, but also doesn't have a large following, to focus more on the following and the building of value and content versus pursuing the endorsements, or would you say? No,
yes. I would say try not to. Don't even focus on endorsements. Focus on building your brand and your career.
Okay.
Everything else will come, because the reality is, once you get to a certain point that you're making moves and doing well in your career, people are going to want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I guess endorsements are great, and it's great to be, partner with these companies and stuff like that. But it's like I said, it has to be a reason that they want to be a part of, that they want to partner with you. And but yeah, I would say the main thing is just focus on building your brand, focus on building your career, and just putting the work in, so that. When you do approach these companies, or when they approach you, you're like, hey, this is what I have to offer, and the company is like, okay, this is what I have to offer. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
So that's my advice for that.
There are a lot of people that are established in this business that were, let's say, famous, well known before social media, right? Then there are people that are not as established or don't have the track record, but they understand the social media game,
right?
And they have large followings,
right?
As a person who is both doing the work and also has a following, if we put the shoe on the other foot and we offered some advice to maybe previous generation, those that may saying, it don't take all of that, I'm not really into social media. Maybe deep down inside they're thinking, I want to be relevant still. What tips would you give to someone who already has the reputation but doesn't have the social media presence or the following? How can they, in essence, become relevant again, specifically on social platforms as a musician or producer or creator?
Well, I think if they're already relevant, I think it depends on their audience. Like, they have to figure out what their fans or audience wants, if they're already relevant. I think that's really the main thing. It's like, if you think about it, when we follow someone on social media, it's either because they make us laugh, we're gaining knowledge, they're motivating us, or they may be cooking something, or something looks good.
Yeah, right.
It's attractive.
Right.
So those are one of the 4 reasons. So it's like, you have to be real with yourself and ask yourself why would somebody follow you on social media? Yeah. And what value can you offer the viewer?
Right.
Or your follower today?
Right. So it's not just like, okay, I am who I am, that's why, but what's relevant right now to the algorithm, the feed.
Exactly.
It's just constantly changing every 10 seconds, right?
Exactly. And I think that's the foundation of everything. It's like, what are you doing that is inspiring to the person that's watching your content, or how are you offering them value?
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to grow your community. That's what's going to get someone to follow you. It's like there has to be a reason someone follows you. Mm-hmm. You, like I said, you either making them laugh, you're motivating, offering knowledge, or something is funny, or whatever. It has to be a reason. And I think if pretty much what I've done is like I've found that thing that I do that inspires people.
Okay.
Whatever it is, I can't categorize it or tell you exactly. It's playing drums, but it's a certain way that I play drums that gives people a reason to follow me. And it's it's like that for anyone else that does as any other creative or artist or whatever. It's like a person follows you because you do what you do in your way, and it's different than anyone else. So that's my advice for that, is just finding out what that thing is. What do you do that's going to make someone follow you? How are you inspiring people?
What do you think is the most important lesson, if you had one, that you could share about making money in the music business? What are some things you do now with money that you didn't do before?
Well, right now, aside from playing drums, I also program and arrange music. And I also teach drums. I'm a drum instructor. It's several things dealing with music, but it's not just the thing that I do. Like, I'm a drummer primarily, but it's also other things you can do to make money with that skill. Multiple streams of income, exactly. So, and also like by being a drummer, I started a clothing brand, Got Pocket, and it came from, me building social media up and someone asking me, hey, do you have any merch? And I was like, no. But the thing that prompted them to ask me if I had any merch was me drumming.
Wow.
So it's like, you'll be doing something that primarily, like I said, I'm a drummer, but it's like other things.
Yeah, like
I'm doing my craft.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this is, my craft is that's the driving force of many other things though.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, it's like, just I would say just be open and, do what you do, but also be open to other things in that lane, because you don't want to put yourself in a box. Yeah. It's many other ways that you can make money doing what you love, and staying in that in that lane. It may take some time to build or to work on, but it can be done for sure. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Man, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, man. So many great nuggets, and
yes, sir.
You're just a stand-up guy in so many ways. People that don't follow you yet, where can they find you online and social media?
So you can find me on all social media platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everything. At Jerrod Sullivan, and that's J-R-O-D Sullivan, Sullivan.
You still managing all these accounts by yourself as well?
I do.
Wow.
I need a team, man. I need some people I can trust.
I'm sure
if you know anybody, hit me up.
Yeah, man. Well, always a pleasure to see you, man. And of course, continue to do the big things that you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Don't forget to support the brands, guys. You know where you can find him. He's not hard to find. He's on stage somewhere. Got Pocket Apparel. Make sure you cop that as well. I got to give me some for the bass player in me, right? But again, much success to you. Much congrats. Continue to do the things that you do. You're very inspirational.
Thank
you. I'm sure a lot of people are going to take a lot of great nuggets away from this particular episode that they can actually tangibly apply, particularly in today's current music landscape. So,
yes, sir.
Good stuff, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
Yes,
this has been another episode of Musically Hitched. I'm your host, Zach Reynolds Jr. Make sure to keep tuning in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Definitely follow us as well on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. We'll see you next time. Take care. Supporting this podcast is easy. Just hit the subscribe button. See you on the next episode.